Yo, 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 Thought Warriors. What is up? Higher Learning is on. This is I, Van Lathan.
And it's me, Rachel Lindsay. Sorry, I didn't have my headphones in.
It's very upsetting. Very upsetting. I just had a conversation with someone who I admire a great deal.
Who do you admire?
Alistair, who's right there. You guys remember the saga of Alistair, who was treated as an outcast at his school. Nobody wanted to sit with Alistair. And now Alistair's right here. He's with Rachel.
Yes, he
out.
is.
I'm looking at him right now.
He's waving.
He's giving me Steph Curry vibes.
He loves Steph Curry. That's so funny that you say that. He said he's giving you look like Steph Curry.
You look like Steph Curry.
He said, of course I do.
Well, of course you do. That's what I'm talking about, Alistair.
That's his favorite basketball player. He looked up at the screen one day and said, he looks like me. Representation.
He does look like him. Representation. See, kids see themselves in different basketball players. You know what I mean? Kids see themselves in stuff. Okay. So there's been a development in the Thought Warrior Nation. Have you heard about this, Rachel?
I've heard inklings of it.
There's a new star amongst us here.
Which we always knew. We always knew.
Speak for yourself. You know what I mean? Speak for yourself. I never knew that it would go down like this, but I got to be honest with you. I'm enjoying the conversation surrounding toxic Trudy.
That's not... Trudy is a star. They love her.
Yeah.
They love Trudy, and I'm here for it.
I love it as well. You know why? Because this is the thing. I don't really know what the kids are doing out there on the dating scene. You know, I don't know what's happening on Twinder and Bumble and Beelzebub or whatever these things are that people are going on and meet people. So I don't know what's happening, but Trudy does. Before we get into Trudy, because I got a new question for Trudy that I asked all the women out there. I love these Ask Women. We've never done this before. We never had like the battle of the sexes here on Higher Learning, which it seems like we would do more of that type of stuff. I
feel like we battle it out each podcast, but you're right. We haven't dealt with specific topics. And I'm so glad that someone like Trudy can bring that to the forefront, because we should be doing more of that here on Higher Learning. We should.
We definitely should. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I actually went to Vegas. Are you a fan of the show Yellowstone?
Yeah, Daddy. Yes, I am. Of course I love Yellowstone.
Okay, you're in the shot, just FYI.
Look at Brian.
Brian, say hi to Van.
He's
talking about how lean you are.
Brian, what up? Look how lean he is. He looks lean in the morning.
He said he looks lean in the morning. What is wrong with you? No, this weekend I went to Vegas to interview the cast for the prequel of Yellowstone, 1883.
1883, yeah.
Which I don't watch Yellowstone, but I started 1883, and I got to tell you, it's good. Talked to Sam Elliott, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Isabel May, and LaMonica. I want to say his last name's Garrett. Not quite sure, but fantastic. So I was in Vegas for 12 hours doing that, interviewing the guys of a new reality TV show called Finding Magic Mike. And it's all about body positivity. It's not the typical, they don't look like necessarily the Magic Mike live show or those in the movie. It's just professional men, lawyers, trainers, analysis, whatever it may be. And they're trying to be the next Magic Mike. And it's about finding yourself, finding your confidence. It's very good. Be on HBO Max.
Yeah, I don't know. Cause see, there's a lot of, and Alistair's right there, so he's gonna hear me. See,
no, you're on headphones. He can't hear you because headphones.
But then, see, here's the thing about Magic Mike. There's a lot of penis manipulation that has to go on.
Well, we didn't get that far. The show doesn't go that far. They dance.
Yeah, they dance, but they have to I know what goes on in these strip clubs. By the way, when women go to see men dance, it is 50 times raunchier than when men go to see women dance.
That's true.
Penises all in face, pythons coming out of underwear.
I've never seen a guy just whip it out at a strip club.
That happens. That happens.
Now, I have
The
seen
girls
that.
talk about it. Like, they talk about the dude do the helicopter with it, put the towel up there, all kinds of stuff. It's weird.
They put a sock over it or a towel. Now, I have seen more at a gay strip club.
At a gay strip club?
I did see more.
Are there specific? I guess there would be, right?
It was a club.
Club?
It was a club.
Right.
It was Pride Month, and it was actually Kalika was with me. What am I talking about? She was right there with me. We thought we were going to a party, and it turned out to be a whole lot more. Yeah, it was like a club / strip, and I've never seen it that graphic before.
So these guys, they had it was full on. It was a butcher shop, meat everywhere.
And people were touching, and there were no rules, and we were just sitting back like this.
Yeah, sure you
like
were.
I'm not prude, but that was it was. I wasn't expecting it.
Sure you were. Sure you were just sitting back there. Yeah, whatever. But so good for those guys. I'm not losing weight for that. I'm losing weight to be a better boxer, not to be able to swing my shillelagh all over.
Anybody
places,
question that? But thank you for clarifying that's not why you do it.
I could be a good stripper though. I got moves, man. I could be a good stripper. I'm a great dancer.
That's great.
I will say that I saw Magic Mike.
Which one?
And the first one. I didn't need the sequel. I got it the fucking first time. Okay, the first one was enough. So I saw Magic Mike. Good movie, by the way. Channing Tatum, really spectacular dancer.
Yeah. Did you not see Step Up?
Yeah, I saw it, but I don't like movies like that, man. I don't like those. I don't like everybody's looking back at Save the Last Dance right now and being like, those scenes were stupid.
That's not the same thing.
And to be honest with you, I thought Save the Last Dance was stupid when it came out. I got into a huge argument because we all went to see it, and it was like guys and girls. And when she was dancing at the end, I was like, yo, man, you got to fucking be kidding me. She looks terrible. Julia Stiles, like she's doing, yeah, exactly. Yeah, she looks fucking terrible. And then go back and watch that scene from Save the Last Dance. And then you have the guy who also turned up in Cruel Intentions and then in Barbershop. I don't know, I haven't seen him lately. You have the guy looking at her like, oh shit, she getting it. She's learned the essence of the streets. I'm like, what the fuck is this nigga on?
It was the heel toe. Remember, everybody's like, oh, she hit the heel toe. It's so bad. Channing Tatum, though, was a real dancer. There's a difference.
Jenna Dewan, they were great together and stuff. Mm-hmm. So this Saturday, I had a very profound experience. A friend of mine lost his father. He is Jewish, and I did something called sitting Shiva. It's apparently a custom where after a tragedy or someone passes away, someone receives people into their homes and you talk about stuff and you comfort people and you get to tell stories about the person who died and stuff like that. So it was interesting. He had lost his father, my friend Lawrence, and obviously I lost my father this year. So I did that Saturday. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie, it knocked me on my ass all the way until Sunday. I just kind of took a weekend off from doing stuff because there was a lot of heavy emotional stuff going on. But I'm back. I'm back in full effect. And I'll tell you why I'm back. Because I have a question for Trudy. All right.
Comes back to Trudy. Okay.
What do you want now?
So, don't do that. Okay.
Trudy, you got to embrace this. The people love you.
Yeah. So I asked a question on my Instagram and on my Twitter that got people talking. Okay. This was the question, Trudy. It was men versus women on Instagram and Twitter. That's what it says. The question is, ladies, is vulnerability a desirable trait in a man? And if so, why? Now, when I asked that question, the women were like, yes, of course. The men were like, that's not true. I can't wait to hear all these women lie, because men feel like women, we will tell you something when we're feeling vulnerable, and then when the women get mad, they will then use that fact, throw it in your face later on when they're upset with you. So I want to ask both of you ladies, is vulnerability a desirable trait in a mate? And then number 2, have you ever taken something that a man has told you when he's vulnerable and thrown it back in his face?
Trudy, you go first.
Well, I'm going to say emphatically yes. Like, nobody wants to date just like a stone cold killer. So, yeah, like, and I've done it. I've dated like a stone cold killer. Like, I really don't care. I'm a hood nigga, this, that, and the third, and I have no feelings, and that's what I do. And I'm just not interested because I'm a sensitive soul. But y'all would never know that, but I am. But would I throw it? Have I ever thrown it in their face? I feel like I need an example because I don't want to sit here and lie. Because I
give you an example. Guy gets in an argument with his dad. All right, gets in an argument with his dad. Says, me and my dad, we don't really have that much of a relationship because when I was growing up, he was never around. All he did was run with women. All he did was go around and date chicks and do all of this stuff. And he never really had the time for me. And sometimes I feel like that connection isn't really there. You're telling your girl about this. Then something happens and she looks at you and she's like, you know what? You just like your trifling ass daddy. All right. That is because it's probably, you know what I'm saying? That's probably your trifling ass daddy. That's why your daddy was around there fucking all of these hoes and stuff. And that's why you ain't shit today. And now you feel like you shouldn't have told that because now it's getting thrown back in your face when Mad Day comes. All right. That's what they're talking about. I've seen it happen. Boy, I tell you what, with my parents, I learned so much about my grandparents from my parents arguing. Like so much about my grandparents from my parents arguing. I love you, Mom. But Mom used to look at Dad and be like, it's because your mama was a hoe.
Okay, you know what?
I'll be honest with you. Your mama was a hoe.
Everybody
Your mama was
this.
running around here with time. Your mama was running around town with everyone. Your mama was a hoe. Let's just be honest with you. You said talk about me. It's your mama who was a hoe.
I understand the question a little bit better. So one, yes, I crave vulnerability from a man. But have I ever used something that they told me and like reversed it on them? I believe in fighting fair. I do. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I do believe in fighting fair. So I would never use it and throw it in their face. But please understand, when I'm upset, I'm hitting the group chat with my friends. Like, first off, this nigga has me fucked up. And it's because I should have known he don't even get his mom something for her birthday. So why would I think he would treat me any better? So yes, that has happened. And that's a true story from college. So like, I hope that was a real answer.
It is, but don't we all do that? Don't we all in an argument? There are times where you take something that they told you, period, and you throw it back in their face. And I don't think that it means you don't want somebody to be vulnerable. I just think it means that when you're upset and you're angry, sometimes you hit below the belt. And that's not gender specific. We all do that.
I'll be honest with you. It's been my experience that women do that more than men. I'll be honest with you. I'm not gonna.
But here's the thing: you don't know that. You don't know it from the other side. Like a dude's not gonna do that to you. You don't know. Like I'm telling you this, and Trudy, back me up. Dudes are so different in relationships than they are with their boys. It's like I will tell, like girl,
obviously,
but like so different, like totally different from what you think. So when you say that's not, women do it more than men, it's because you don't know what your boys are out here doing behind closed doors.
No.
We're telling you.
What I'm saying is I've witnessed the arguments. Like, so here's the thing, and I think sometimes it's about what's considered a low blow. Like, and so my parents would argue, and my dad would say something to my mom that I think he didn't think was a low blow, right? I think he'd say something to her like but it would be a question of her character that she would take as a low blow, and then she would turn around and like take the most painful shot at him that she could.
We're better at it.
Mama a soldier. Yeah,
mama
a soldier.
Women are better at it.
We are 100% better. But I will say, men, y'all is trifling because when you're going back and forth. Oh, matter of fact, perfect example. you could be out of the store or something and your man is just being a little bit too friendly. You get in the car, check him about it a little bit. Nothing to cause a whole big fight, but just enough to, let you know that you're irritated. Then, you might be in a fight a couple weeks later and he gonna look at you and be like, okay, but you're insecure. That's that shit, because you know what the buttons are. And I think that that's what men do. There are hot button words, insecure being one of them, that when you throw it at a woman, that's like a real jab. And then all bets are off. And I might call your mama a hoe.
Okay.
Trudy.
So let's stay there. So let's stay there. Isn't there in this situation that you just laid out, what's too friendly? Because if there is something to be said that if you are perceiving something that's actually not too friendly as too friendly, then there might actually be a little insecurity there. And talking about the insecurity might not necessarily be the worst thing in the world. Like if I'm in a situation where the insecurity is causing an issue in a relationship, I think it's healthy to be like, yo, this is actually not me. This is you. I don't think that I'm really doing anything wrong. Like if I was with a girl one time and I was leaving out of a 7-Eleven and I held the door open for the woman to walk into the 7-Eleven and I smiled. How you doing? It's like, you just let you know you don't need to be holding the door open for
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
That is not at all
right. I understand. I'm not saying, but there are levels to this. And in that situation, in that situation, I have to be like, yo, hey man, seriously.
Yeah.
Because like you have to be able to talk about that. Like you can't be that touched by shit.
That's 100%
you know what I mean?
accurate.
So, and
there are levels to it, but I think that a lot of times there's like a specific person that maybe your woman knows that, this girl likes you or whatever the case is, and she's doing the most to constantly get your attention, constantly get a reaction, all of that. So if I put you up on game about a homegirl already, and then you feed into it because it just feeds your ego, and I mean, everybody has an ego, and I get in the car and just lightly tell you about it, don't do that shit again, and then you later, like a month later, we're fighting, and you just out of the blue call me insecure. No, now we're fighting. Now it's fisticuffs, right? For sure.
Right.
Fisticuffs. Trudy. Okay, before we get off this, I want to ask you one last question. Do you want to walk back in any way?
Don't do it, Trudy.
Your statements about hairlines, your statements, the talk of our thought warriors was whether or not Trudy is toxic, whether or not Trudy has a point. You took over the entire subreddit. The subreddit is popping right now, so I'll do you, Trudy. Do you want to in any way, look, right now, the latest question on the subreddit, I just pulled it up. Gift cards on dates. Hell no. This woman has I want to read this story. Gift cards on dates. Hell no. A man brought me to a restaurant he suggested where his sister gave him a gift card 2 months in the past. I felt like he was cheap as hell and he let me pay for drinks before saying he was using the gift card at the end of dinner. Never spoke to his ass again. It's cheap and weird that you take someone to a place just because you have a gift card. You all are so weird about this gift card thing. Some people may view it as financially savvy. Some people may view it as you being cheap. Either way, it's probably not going to be the thing that makes or breaks the first date. I asked my wife about this. She didn't have a problem with it. I don't know why it's looked down. Look at how crazy people are going back and forth. And this guy says, top left 404 says, man, I'm so glad I only do situationships.
It's toxic.
This guy says, the gift card thing is dumb and immature.
I love it.
Crazy.
I love it. But Trudy, are you going to answer the question? Is there anything you want to walk back?
I'm really happy that we started a dialogue. I think it's important because what do we do here? We learn. But in the words of Ms. Nene Leakes, I said what I said.
Yes,
Period.
You did, Trudy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did. I love it. I love it. And I think this should be a weekly thing where we talk about it. Because like Van said at the beginning, we're not in that world anymore, but a lot of people are. And a lot of people have questions. And Trudy, a lot of people agree with you. A lot of people think that you're spot on.
Period. And they know. Shout out to the Trudy Warriors.
Trudy Warriors.
No, you ain't gonna take over the name now, Trudy. That's enough. Yeah. That's enough.
No. She's got Trudy Strop.
Trudy Strop.
Trudy Strop. All right. I think that there's, but you admitted that you're toxic, right? You said you admitted before we got on.
Yeah, guys not done with me yet, for sure.
It's not done with any of us. All right, Trudy, thank you. We're going to take a break. First of all, we're going to start by acknowledging that there was a horrible, horrible environmental tragedy that happened, environmental disaster, natural disaster, should I say, that happened the last couple of days. Tornadoes ripped through parts of the Mid-South and Midwest and have killed up to 64 people, I think the number is right now. I think the states involved here, I know that Kentucky was particularly hard hit, but the disaster lasted hours and traveled more than 200 miles at 50 miles an hour, just a wave of tornadoes. It's a terrible thing. Now, the FEMA chief has said that this is a new normal, that natural disasters of this magnitude is something that we should be prepared for, and something that we should almost learn to live with because of the climate crisis that we are facing in the world. Deanne Criswell told Jake Tapper this, and that to me is one of the most chilling things I've ever heard. I grew up in Louisiana and there was tornado watches and warnings all the time. But this was different. This was aggressive, destructive, sustained natural chaos. You see stuff like this. You hear stuff like this. Obviously, I survived Hurricane Katrina. Obviously, there are other things. What do you feel like it's going to take for people to take climate change as seriously as it needs to be taken?
Well, it's like anything. It's got to affect you. It's got to be close to you. And I think before, when you hear about climate change and the climate crisis and all of that, you think of it as far away. You think about Antarctica, or you think about, what's happening in the Amazon, and you don't, it's not real to you. But if you think about it, growing up, and I lived in the Tornado Alley. I'm not sure if it stretches to Louisiana. I don't believe it does.
Not quite. Not like that.
But tornado season was April to November. And we're in December. And I remember a few years ago, a tornado hit in Dallas, right outside of Dallas, the day after Christmas. 10 people died. Tornado went right over the freeway. And it's instances like that where you're like, what has been the normal, what we've been accustomed to, isn't the reality anymore. And because of what's happening to the climate, it can happen at any moment. It's unpredictable. And I think that's also the takeaway from this. So I think, to answer your question, it's got to affect us. It's got to be personal to us for us to realize. And we have to talk about it, right? We can't just say, oh, a tornado swept through 6 different states and killed almost 70 people, and it's estimated to go to 100. You have to talk about the reason as to why that's happening so people can correlate the two and understand that there's a real issue here. And I think that we don't do that sometimes. We just talk about there being a tragedy, in regards to the weather, but don't necessarily correlate it to the climate crisis. So I'm glad that we're having this discussion. I mean, my heart goes out to everybody that's been impacted by this, and they're still going through it, and it's such a tragedy. But we also have to correlate it to what's happening in our environment, because it's not going to stop.
So it's interesting because I once had a conversation with a friend of mine, conservative guy, cool guy, conservative guy, and we were talking about climate change. We're talking about climate change. We're talking about sort of what needs to be done. And I said, don't you feel the need to preserve the earth for humans that might be here 1,000 years from now? He said, I don't care about humans that are going to be here 1,000 years from now. I couldn't care less about that. I care about the economy and the happenings on the earth now within my lifetime. Don't care about it 6,000 years, 1,000 years, 100 years. The question now is, do you care about it 5 years from now? Because I think that we're starting to see, if you're paying attention, the results of climate change hit the world in real time. And I'm wondering if people are actually prepared. Like, there's a lot of stuff. So I read something a couple of years ago that talked about the fact that we're going to look up one day and Key West is going to be gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's happening. It's happening before our very eyes.
Miami.
And Miami.
Look at the building that collapsed. They say, they say there's Miami is going to be underwater. South Beach, I should say. South Beach.
So the question then becomes, what can you do about it? And it's very, very clear. We talk about the difference between the left and the right. And you guys, as you know, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat because I don't, and I'll explain this right now. I'm not a Democrat because I don't agree with or subscribe to the inner workings of any particular political party. I think a lot of it is just fluff that has nothing to do with actually governing and making people's lives different. So I don't want to identify with a party that I don't like the way. It's a party I don't want to be invited to. I don't want to go to the party. Okay. But I am a liberal. And this is one of the reasons why. There's a clear-cut line in the sand between one particular brand of political thought that takes climate change into consideration when it makes policy, and another specific brand of political thought that acts like it's a hoax and puts fossil fuels, coal, besides you, Senator Manchin, and other things along those lines ahead of what we're doing to our planet. There's actually no subtlety about this. There is one part of political thought that believes climate change is real and that we need to do something about it. Now, how aggressively we try to mitigate what's happening is up for debate, and some people are strong on it and some people are weaker on it. But there's, in most cases, another part of American political life that thinks that none of what's happening is real. And you should consider that when you head out to the polls. And this, when people ask, well, what's the difference between Democrats and Republicans? What's the difference between the left and the right? They're all the same. I understand what you mean is they all act the same. You know, they all might have the same rhythms of speech. You might not be able to tell the difference just looking at them. But if you start talking, there is a difference. And this is one of the differences. So if somebody ever asks you, well, Democrats and Republicans, they're all the same. Yeah, they're all, white supremacy has its claws in either side and all of that stuff, but there are differences. And this issue right here is a huge, gigantic difference.
You know, I completely agree with you. And I also just wonder too, if it's interesting with the guy that you had the conversation with. 1,000 years, he said he didn't care. Did you ask him if he cared about 5 years or 10 years?
I told him it wasn't going to be 1,000 years.
Because I'm curious as to what their response would be then. Because I wonder if some of it is just the people think because they're uneducated on it, oh, that's 1,000 years away. Or that's, geographically so far away from where I am, which it's not. So how do we bring to the forefront to people, hey, this is a reality that can happen in your lifetime, and then educate them on, and this is the steps that you could do in your community or, within your everyday life to help fix this problem. Because I think a lot of people put it out of their minds because they don't care to know because they don't see it as imminent. You know what I mean? There's a movie that's coming out right now, Don't Look Up, that's literally about climate change. Have you heard of it? Mm-hmm. But it deals with a comet. I haven't watched it. I don't even think it's out yet. But I think that's to educate people about what's going on. But how do we make it imminent for people?
Don't think you can. And I'll tell you why. I think this is a part of the problem in dealing with the post-fact society, which is definitely what we're living in now. So we're living in a post-fact society. We're living in a society where the framing of the argument means more than the actual meat of it, right? It means more who's talking to you than what they're talking to you about. There's consensus on climate change. There's scientific consensus on climate change. As much of a consensus as you can have scientifically, right? These are alarms that have been sounded long ago that people should be, put it to you, these are alarms that have been sounded long ago that people should be taking as fucking seriously as they're taking anything else. But there are interests that are getting in the way of that. And there's money that's getting in the way of that. There's economic concerns that are getting in the way of that. And which they don't necessarily have to, but they are, right? And so because of that, this is not an argument that's normally had in good faith. Like, is my point. This is not an argument that's normally had with people who really want to find solutions. They want to be right. So I don't know what you have to do. But one way you can make your voice heard is at the ballot box. Yeah. If you care about the people that died in this unspeakable environmental disaster, then make sure you think about them when you're voting for people who might do something to try to undo this, even if we can. I'm not up on the science. I don't know how far along we are. I don't know what we're going to do now that's going to stop this from happening next year, the year after, or whatever. So, who knows? Who knows? But definitely, there's a political issue behind this. But the biggest issue is definitely hearts go out, thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the people who passed away in this just scary situation. Okay, back to Texas. Chief Justice John Roberts has warned the Supreme Court over the Texas abortion law. In a strongly worded opinion, joined by the High Court's 3 liberal justices, Roberts wrote that the clear purpose and actual effect of the Texas law was to nullify this court's ruling that he said undermines the Constitution and the fundamental role of the Supreme Court and the court system as a whole. All right. This was a remarkable plea by the Chief Justice to his colleagues on the court to resist the efforts of right-wing lawmakers to get around the court's decisions that they dislike. In this case, we're talking about Roe versus Wade. Now, does this give you any hope? Because I got to be honest with you. I believe that Roe versus Wade is currently on life support. Yeah. I think they're going to do it. I'll be honest with you. I think they're going to do it. This coming from Chief Justice Roberts, does this give you any hope that the Supreme Court might actually decide, find their humanity, find their sense of duty, and decide to not take away women's reproductive rights?
No. Because if that's the case, they would have go ahead and granted the injunction to stop this law from currently taking place.
But this is coming from the Chief Justice now.
That doesn't mean anything. It's still got to be a majority vote. He doesn't get extra points just because he has the title. That's long gone out the window. It's a conservative court at this point, which was what we feared would happen when they appointed oh gosh, what's her name? I can't Comey, whatever her name is. Sorry, excuse me. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just can't remember her name. Amy
Coney Barrett.
Thank you. This is what we feared would happen. And it's happening. And yes, he holds the title. And there's the whole article about, like, does it even mean anything? Has he lost the power? Like, they don't defer to his opinion by any means. He's dissenting in this decision, and he's putting his opinion out there, but they're not changing the way they think about it, and they're not ruling on. They haven't made a decision. They haven't overturned or overruled Roe v. Wade. They haven't modified it. It's more as if they're punting it back to federal courts and allowing this to stay in place. And when I say federal, I mean the lower courts, to stay in place, and are saying, oh yeah, providers, they can sue. but they're not making a decision on it. And I think that they're avoiding having to make it, but the time is going to come where they're going to have to make a decision on it. And I think based on how they decided here, by still keeping that law in place, they're pretty much telling you that without overruling Roe v. Wade. Because this law, as it stands, contradicts Roe v. Wade. And they're allowing it to stay in place.
I start to think, like, you don't watch comics. You don't read comics or watch comic book movies, right?
No.
But you don't. No, you don't. You don't even. Who is Superman? Do you know who that is?
Come on now.
Yeah. Who's Superman's girlfriend?
Lois Lane. We've
talked about
making
this. Sure.
We've talked about
just
this.
Making sure. We've talked about it. Okay. Sometimes this is why heroes are necessary in the comic books, right? Because the schemes by the villains are just too good sometimes. Sometimes Lex cooks up a scheme and you're like, God damn, Lex. Like, you're like, shit. How in the world, like, would we beat this if we didn't have Superman?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, if we didn't have a hero that could do anything, was invulnerable, and could, like, how would we beat this guy? We're getting to that point. We're getting to the point to where I look at the Texas abortion law and I'm like, it is so unbelievably devious.
Mm-hmm.
It is so thought through with ill intent. How do you win against it? And who is going to stand in the gap between the people that have dedicated so much time and energy? It's really an evil law when you think about it, right?
Absolutely.
It's an evil law that turns citizen against citizen. It's an evil law for its intent in trying to take away women's reproductive rights. But I said this before with there needs to be, I don't think that I think that one side is playing a very direct, high stakes game. And the other one is playing politics as usual. And I don't know if the alarm has been sounded here. So I looked at this from Chief Justice Roberts and I thought to myself, that's actually a positive that he's telling them that this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to usurp and undermine the authority of the Supreme Court. But at the same time, they know that's what they're trying to do.
Of course.
When I say they, I mean the creators of the law know particularly that that's what they're trying to do. And in my opinion, you'd have to be a moron to be a member of the Supreme Court and not know that that's definitely what they were trying to do as well.
But they do know that.
I know. So I'm trying to figure out, like, if this is all just bluster.
Well, it is. Because if you were upholding the law, then the law, Roe v. Wade, says this is illegal. So then what are you standing on? You're not. They're punting it back. They don't want to make, they're just, it's the inevitable. If you're not going to make a decision or you're not going to modify things as the way that they are, and you're just going to keep punting it back, if it punts back to the federal courts, there's going to be a case that takes it back to the Supreme Court eventually. Now, granted, they can choose not to hear it and they can keep playing that game. But if they don't want to say it's contradicts the law, which they easily could, then aren't they pretty much saying exactly what it is that they feel without having to do it? That's why I say it's all with the court as it stands, it's inevitable of where things are heading when it comes to abortion rights. And let it be known, you guys, that Alabama, Florida, I think Arkansas, and there's another state that have already proposed this same bill in their states that Texas has.
Interesting development. California, assault weapons. Gavin Newsom on Saturday has actually taken a page out of the Texas abortion laws playbook and has promised to empower private citizens to enforce a ban on the manufacture and sale of assault weapons in the state. He is going to do what he thinks is going to be a Texas abortion law style initiative against assault weapons. It's California has banned the manufacture and sale of a bunch of assault weapons. It's been that way for a very long time. A federal judge overturned that ban in June, saying it was unconstitutional and drawing the ire of the state's Democratic leaders. What Gavin Newsom wants to do now is have a situation to where private citizens can then do the same thing that the Texas abortion law does, but in this case with assault weapons. States can now shield their laws from review by the federal courts that compare assault weapons to Swiss Army knives, and California will use that authority to protect people's lives, where Texas used it to put women in harm's way, Newsom said in a statement released by his office 7 p.m. on Saturday. This is the worst fucking idea I've heard of in a long
Tell me why.
Long time. Okay, number one, I'm not a fan of the assault weapon. I am a gun owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of the assault weapon. Everybody, the big situation is whether or not you need an AR-15, whether or not you should be able to have an AR-15. And it doesn't stop there. I hope that people understand that we talk about the AR-15, but there are things beyond the AR-15 that are lawful. Grenades are lawful.
Mm-hmm.
You can lawfully own grenades. Grenade launchers are lawful. Like, these are lawful weapons in places you can have a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
It's like not illegal to have it. You know what I mean? But I think that this creates a direct conflict between people who may have assault weapons and people who might not have them. And I think you have to take into consideration the psyche of somebody who might have 25 or 10 or 4 AR-15s. And what a situation would look like in the provocation of people like that. And is that a road that we want to go
What
down?
are you trying to say? That it's going to cause them to use those weapons?
Maybe.
By suing them? Because that's the thing. They can sue them. So they take them to court and they would sue them and get up to $10,000 for suing them for manufacturing, distributing, or selling assault weapons or ghost guns.
I think that in this situation, there's a public safety issue here, because I think people that are on this issue, a lot of these people are not just one issue voters. When you talk about the 2A people, they're one issue thinkers.
Okay.
They believe all of their American freedoms emanate from the Second Amendment.
Okay.
And they believe that there will be war declared, basically, if in any way the Second Amendment, which they tie to be able to own as many guns as you want, wherever you want, as many assault style rifles as you want, they tie that to that very directly. And I think it's actually unsafe to have private citizens antagonize these people.
By filing a lawsuit? So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should have to live in the fear of these people who decide to take the law into their own hands with their guns if they feel that that's being threatened. Because you're not asking to take all their guns away. You're asking for assault weapons. And I get what you're saying. Those people who might possess multiple types have a certain mindset and they have a reason for doing it. But does that mean that we then just bow down to that because they are equipped with these type of weapons? I don't necessarily agree with that, but I actually love what Gavin Newsom is doing. I love it because I do think it shows how stupid the law is in Texas. And I do think it shows that it is a slippery slope. And if you're not going to rule on that and you're going to keep that law in place and you're going to put that in the hands of citizens, then he's doing exactly what you've asked the Democrats to do constantly on this podcast. And that is stop being political, stop playing by the rules. He's fighting fire with fire. Oh, okay, that's how y'all want to do it? Y'all want to harm women and you want to take away their right and their choice and what they can do with their bodies? Bet we're going to apply that same logic to what I'm trying to accomplish in my state to save people from people who are illegally holding a certain type of gun or manufacturing guns that are illegal, like the ghost guns that he refers to. I love it. And
I don't think it's the same thing. Number one, I'm not asking to deputize. I don't believe on either side, I don't believe in deputizing private citizens to go out there and maintain.
I don't
think that's
either.
A horrible thing for.
But I said it was
society.
stupid, and I think what he's saying is this is stupid. But if you're going to use it, then we're going to do the same thing over here.
Yeah, but that's not going to affect what's going on in Texas. That's not going to make them stop.
It might make the Supreme Court make decisions where they should. Do you see what I'm saying?
I don't know if it will. To be honest with you, I think that certain things are just bad for society, and normalizing and having a society where people are looking over their neighbors' fences and then ratting them out, and I think it invites a specific. Right, and I think fundamentally I'm against it. Period. Whether my side is using it or whether their side is using it, whether people who I agree with politically are using it or people who I disagree with politically are using it. I think that's horrible for America.
I do
think that's
too.
Bad. And I also think it's particularly bad. I know a lot of 2A advocates and 2A people. I'm telling you, I don't think this is a good idea.
It's not none of it's a good idea. You're creating vigilantes. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I like it because I think the Supreme Court is not stepping in. You talk about superheroes, you talk about people who have the power to do something. They're not doing it. They're not utilizing it. So what he's saying is you're allowing it to stay in place. I think if what he does gets passed and it becomes implemented, and then you start to see other people give citizens the power to have something that they should not have, it's a power they should not have. I agree with you on that. Then maybe the people who do have power can put a stop to it and actually do their job. That's what I'm saying. It's more of like, I don't agree with it. I hate them both. But I'm just saying maybe it'll get to the level of gain some attention to where people actually have to step up and do something. The people who have the power to.
I remember I was watching The View one time, and this was when Meghan McCain, M squared, the hit a killer, was still on there. And she was talking about the fact that if they ever did an AR-15 buyback program or AR-15 takeaway program, if the gun was illegal, that the cops would have to go down there and get the gun from her brother and in Arizona, and they're gonna have a hell of a time getting the gun. And I was thinking to myself, well, what is the brother gonna do? Is the brother gonna sit there and bang it out with the police?
It sounds like she's saying.
Like what? That's exactly what it sounds like she's saying. And I'm telling you, a lot of people that stockpile these weapons, a lot of them are just people who of course, I don't want me to paint all gun owners with one brush. Because I'm a gun owner. I own multiple guns. But there are people who are stockpiling weapons believing that the day is coming where they're going to have to use them. Okay?
I know what you're saying, but this law, if it goes forward, also doesn't require you to peep over your neighbor's fence. What it says is you file a lawsuit saying, I believe that this is happening, right?
All right.
And what you're basically saying is they're going to come to court. They're either not going to come to court, or they're going to come to court strapped up. They're going to come to court.
Not they're going to, after they know who it's about, they're going to be like, yo, this is a big deal. And I'm telling you, it's a weird thing.
No, I'm not. I understand the reason that they're trying to make this go down. And that's what I'm saying. I get. And you talk about stop playing by the rules, fight fire with fire. And it's like, that's exactly what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, but at the detriment, but we can agree to disagree. So I'm looking at a list of weapons who are actually legal. Flamethrower, legal. Flamethrower, legal. Okay. Legal in California. You can get a license for a flamethrower. The grenade launcher is not legal in California. It's legal in other places, though. An umbrella sword.
What is that?
Where you never seen an umbrella sword where you got the umbrella, but the cane is actually a sword?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Shit, I'm gonna get one of them bitches. The way shit going on in California, like I'm gonna get me an umbrella sword. People gonna be like, man, it's sunny outside. Like, why do you have an umbrella sword? Well, these guys got fucking choppers though. They got guns. You can get an umbrella sword for $30. And of course, the grenade launcher, we talked about it, katana blade, all of those things. Crossbow. I think a crossbow should be legal. Crossbow is it's not that big of a deal to have a crossbow. Yeah. A cannon is legal.
I'm sorry, what?
You can own a cannon. Yeah. Cannon shells are destructive devices. They can be registered with the ATF, and you can still have them. The cannon. All right. Speaking of that, have you started to move different in LA because they're saying that it's like the purge on the streets? I don't know if you guys saw this, but
yeah, Brian was listening to something that terrified me, like some police talking. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, cops went on the thing and said that LA, that it's basically the purge now with the way people are getting robbed and shit. Have you started to move different in LA at all?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to talk about how because I'm not going to talk about how.
This is the thing. And I want to have a heart-to-heart moment with the Thought Warriors. Okay? I was leaving out of the, I don't want to turn racist. You know?
I'm glad.
I don't want to be racist. I don't want to profile.
Okay.
But this purge shit in LA is fucking with me.
What happened?
I was leaving out of the house because all of these dudes, when you see them in these videos, they look the same. They look thin. They got like a little bubble jacket on. They got the mask over their face, which is supposedly for COVID, but really is so they could purge. And then they got a hood on, right? Like a hoodie on. The hooded jacket. They look the same. They wearing some Adidas wind pants. They skinny.
Okay.
There's nobody right now that's any of these videos that's robbing that I think has been over 200 pounds. These are little dudes going out there purging. So I'm leaving the goddamn house and I see a dude. He's standing right there. He's inside of the building. He's
inside your building.
He's inside the building. He's got the hood on. He's got the mask over his face. And I'm like, whoa. I look back, I go, yo, chill out. Y'all don't walk real quick. I say, baby, don't walk. Don't walk. Hold on, let me check this out real quick. I go around the corner. I look at him. He's like, yo, man, do you know where the stairs are? And what I wanted to say was, what are you doing in here?
Jeez.
'Cause I really wanted to do that. And then I caught myself. I'm like, nah, man, nah. I can't. I'm like, the stairs are right here, young brother. And then he picked up some food. He was from Uber Eats. And then he's walking up the stairs to go up the thing. I'm telling you, man, I see groups of young kids walking together, and I think in my mind, man, frisk them. Somebody frisk him.
He was black?
He was black.
And you're black.
Fuck.
So imagine what non-black people say when they see that.
Now, I understand, but this is why, like the purge, I just got this brand new chain, right? It was a great chain. I say was because I'm not wearing that bitch. It's got Harriet Tubman on it. You know? It's a nice chain. Shout out to my man, Amin Tomi. He made me a custom piece Harriet Tubman chain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was expensive. I don't wear my chain around here no more, man.
And I don't even wear my engagement ring.
Yeah, that's a big prize right there. That's a prize because that motherfucker there is booming. You know what I mean? But ABC paid for that?
ABC paid for that.
They did?
Mm-hmm. Or NZK. Wait. Or NZK. Maybe the production company. Whatever was the show paid.
Whoa! That was a joke. Is that real? They bought your engagement ring?
Everybody knows that.
Fucking for true?
Yes, and if you stay together longer than 2 years, you get to keep it. So like let's just say if like a lot of couples don't make it. So if they hit 2.5 years, the woman gets to keep the ring.
Wait a minute. Wouldn't everybody how much is the ring worth?
After talking about the purge, I'm not comfortable talking about all that.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that they actually bought the ring. That's nuts. It's a very nice ring. But how are you moving different during the purge?
I would like to not talk about how I strategically move different on the podcast.
Tell you how I'm doing it.
That's great. Go ahead. You also like to tell people where you live, which I'm not about that life either.
I'll tell you how I'm moving different in purge. Number one, absolutely zero jewelry being worn. Okay. No jewelry. Okay. Number two, I don't stand outside and talk to you no more.
Okay. Never did.
Hey, you pull me up. Hey, aren't you man, it used to be, aren't you the guy from TMZ? The purge has made me less friendly. Because I used to, hey man, you Van from TMZ, blah blah blah. Hey man, come over here, let's talk about it.
Oh,
I
wow.
love that. I used to always talk to people, not talking to them anymore. These are my 3 rules for the purge. Number 1, no more friendly shit. I'm not talking to you no more. You know me from the show. You see me from the show. You like what I do. Say it from across the street. I'm not coming near you so you can rob the fuck out of me. Okay. Number 2, I specifically will not walk in certain neighborhoods in Beverly Hills at night, because Beverly Hills is where it's going down.
I don't walk at night at all. But see, I
used
think
to
it's
love
different
walking at night.
And I'm not, don't let anybody jump on me about the gender stuff, but I'm just saying, I think it's different with men and women. And as a woman, I don't walk Hopper at night. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah. I used to love a good night walk, but no, that's not happening.
Yep.
Number 3, like Kanye said back in the day, no more parties in LA. I'm not going to any parties. I'm not hanging out in any places till the purge is over.
Is that why you didn't come to Brian's opening?
No, I didn't think I would get purged there. I forgot about it. Brian's opening was good. I saw that Eric Bigger was there.
Oh yeah, I forgot y'all know each other. Yeah.
I saw that Eric Bigger was there, but y'all could have got purged.
Well, here's the thing. I told Brian, I said, you open this up to the public. I was like, do you have security? So there was security was hired, paid for extra parking so people could park their cars in a gate with an attendant. So like there was security there. I was like, you opened it up. Honestly, it was a perfect opportunity for people to get robbed.
Yeah.
So it had to be security.
By the way, people think that there's being a big deal made about this. Nah, man, it's real out here. It's real about here. Last question I'll ask you regarding the purge. Does the purge make you rethink your views on police budgets? I had a conservative friend of mine that called me up and was like, hey, you guys wanted to slash police budgets, less police on the streets, less police doing their thing, and now look, you're in the middle of the purge in Los Angeles.
No, because I don't think that's what it was about. When you talk about police budgets, it's not to remove police off the streets. It's to have the proper person going to the proper situation. So someone who is trained, to handle a high intense situation with someone with a mental disability or having an episode doesn't necessarily need a police officer to draw guns on them. So it's the appropriate person for the appropriate incident. I've never said remove police and have less police. I've never said that. It's just more of make sure the person is properly trained to handle that situation rather than the first thing be, I'm just going to whip out my guns. Like, understand that a situation is heightened. Understand the situation is sensitive. I say that there needs to be a budget for training, not necessarily removal. So I don't agree with that. Because I've also heard people talk about the bail system in California as something that's an issue. I'm not going to sit here and say that means necessarily like the defund the police shouldn't be an issue.
No,
I'm not going to do that.
I am, though. It is. We on guard out here in LA, purge wise. We are. It's true.
Y'all be careful. Y'all be careful. Because y'all be careful. It's not a game.
Did you attend the Larry Hoover concert for Kanye West?
Brian's event was that night. So the answer is no. But even if it had not been, you wouldn't have called me there.
Kanye and Drake had a de facto versus, which is what it was, the LA Coliseum last Thursday night. They were selling merch. This was to benefit freeing Larry Hoover.
Did you go?
If you guys do not know who Larry Hoover is, Larry Hoover is. How do I explain who Larry Hoover is?
Who he is or who he was?
Good question.
Because I think you have to do both. Because who he is now is not who he was, which is the whole issue as to why he should be where he currently is right now.
Okay, Larry Hoover, as I understand it right now, is serving time at ADX Supermax. You guys know what that is? That is basically a fucking superhero prison in Colorado. He is imprisoned in Florence, Colorado. Supermax. You ever go see one of those movies, like if you watch like Captain America, Winter Soldier, or Civil War, the fucking Raft?
Oh,
or like it's where they put, like, I'll tell you some other people who are in Supermax, but whatever. He's serving 6 life sentences for a bunch of different things. Now he began one of the most notorious street gangs in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What happened subsequently after he began that, though, was that Larry Hoover instituted rules, regulations, and parameters in these organizations in Chicago that many believe are needed to keep the streets of Chicago safe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's no getting around the fact that he started the gang.
Correct.
There's no getting around the fact that a lot of heinous stuff came from the starting of the gang. But there are a lot of people who believe that if Larry Hoover were free right now, that Chicago would be in a better situation. I don't know anything about that. What I do know is that they're never letting Larry Hoover out of jail.
And it should be known that he has been in jail since, what, 1973? Is that correct?
1973.
1973.
Yeah, 1973. I sincerely doubt in my mind that they ever let Larry Hoover out. They're not going to let Larry Hoover out.
Right.
I think that the feds are even shocked that they're letting Larry Hoover out. Does that mean that he shouldn't be let out? I actually don't know enough about it to know whether or not he should or whether or not he shouldn't. Larry Hoover's son wanted to come on the podcast.
What? Why didn't we let him?
I think we still will.
Okay.
My man Amir hit me up, and shout out to Amir, and said that Larry Hoover's son wanted to come on the podcast. I think it's interesting to bring Larry Hoover's son on the podcast. The only thing I didn't want to do, they want their father out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
They want their husband out of jail, Larry Hoover's wife. I don't want to put them in a situation to where something happens that stops them from being able to achieve the goal.
I know one of the attorneys on the case. So if we want to bring him on as well, you know what I mean? To like monitor the situation to make sure that there's no jeopardizing or anything like that, we can do that.
Yeah. Well, because the reality is, if I'm being honest, I don't know if they should let Larry Hoover out. The way I feel about people in prison is fucking let them all out. I don't really know. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like
I know that is how you feel.
You know, like I don't like seeing people be in jail, but based upon, I haven't really heard the case for why Larry Hoover should be let out of jail, let out of prison. And so I'd be interested to know. So
maybe we should bring both
have
on.
them on.
Both
bring
on.
Them on. Bring
for sure.
On. But anyway, Kanye West is real cool with a man named Jay Prince. Of course, you guys know who Jay Prince is, hip hop titan, the titan in the community, founder of Rap A Lot Records. And Drake is also real cool. I think Jay, like I say real cool, Drake got his start under Jay and Jazz Prince. So
correct.
That's a big part of that situation. And so they had this concert, and the concert was selling some expensive shit. A pullover hoodie, $200, baseball tee, $160, a jumpsuit, $360, jeans and various washes, $400, and a hat for $60. A majority of the fits were presented in a light blue color with free Hoover on them. There's been a report in GQ that the profits from this merch will not be designated for charity. It says here. While proceeds from the ticket sales for the concert will reportedly benefit a number of criminal justice reform groups, profits from the merch sales are not being earmarked for charity, a rep confirmed to GQ. It's worth noting that the concert came with an estimated budget of $10 million, which covered production costs, stage construction, event staff, security, and more. Kanye West partnered with Amazon Music for this. Is this tacky that the merch sales are not going to any type of criminal reform?
Well, who's
charities?
it going to?
They don't particularly say.
Okay. If it's going to somebody else that's going to help, like in some way helping those in the criminal justice system or like Larry Hoover's people or something like that, fine. But if it's going back to them or, you know, to the people who created the merchandise, and this takes away from what this entire concert was supposed to be. In my opinion, this concert wasn't supposed to be a moneymaker. This concert was supposed to bring awareness to Larry Hoover, to what's happening particularly to him, but then also what's just happening in general with the criminal justice system. So if profits were being made, Like, they didn't need to sell merch. I mean, I guess people walking around with the free Larry Hoover sweatshirt could bring awareness to, hey, who's Larry Hoover, and get maybe people involved in what's going on, but it wasn't necessarily necessary. I'm pretty sure jeans in 4 different colors isn't helping bring awareness to the criminal justice system. So it's not necessarily that there was a need for selling merchandise. So yeah, I got an issue with it if you're making profit off a concert that's supposed to be a benefit and with a purpose. I don't understand the purpose of the concert anyway, to be honest. And Larry Hoover's son himself is on record saying he had concerns about this concert for his father. So it looks a little shady to me.
Doesn't look necessarily shady.
It does, if it, depending on who it went to. Well, who's the money go to? Why you got 4 jeans in 4 different colors?
It looks tacky to me. It looks a little tacky to me. But Kanye West, he escapes all of this criticism. Ye says that he's for the people. He's for the little guys. He hates classism. But then he'll sell you jeans for $400.
Like, come on.
$400. You know what? We will dive into the Larry Hoover issue here on Higher Learning. I think it's interesting. I just reached out to Amir. We will dive into this issue. We'll dive into it because we'll discuss what a legacy means that might have started in one way and ended up in another way. We've seen this before. Stanley Tukey Johnson. We've seen guys who, and I believe Larry Hoover's conversion and Larry Hoover's look at what he created in Chicago happened even before he went to jail. He looked around and saw, before he went to prison, he looked around and saw that maybe things were getting out of control, and he tried to do better for his community. I'm not as up on the story. I have questions, and who better to ask these questions to than Larry Hoover Jr. So I would definitely like to have them on the podcast. I don't know. I didn't think you would want to have that conversation, Rachel. I don't know why.
Why? Based on what? Well, that's par for the course on this podcast. But why? Well, why would I not want to have a conversation about Larry Hoover?
I mean, your dad is the police, kind of.
No, he's not.
He's the police. Your dad's not the police?
My dad's not the police.
He's in law enforcement.
No.
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice.
He's law enforcement. He's a judge. He's a judge, man. I think about the judge so often. Way too often do I think about the judge. I do.
Daddy!
Oh, shit. No, please don't do it. No, okay, I'm just joking. He's there. Oh, no, I'm just joking. Don't do it. No. I was just playing.
He called you the police.
No! Stop, Rachel. Seriously, man. Don't tell, like, for real. Don't tell the judge on me. Megan Thee Stallion, she got the 18th Congressional District Humanitarian Award. Then she also graduated from Texas Southern University, TSU. Texas Southern University. How fucking proud of Meg Thee Stallion are we right now? Humanitarian award. She graduated from. Good for Meg Thee Stallion, man. What an example Meg Thee Stallion is setting. You know what I mean? What example Meg Thee Stallion is setting for everyone.
Exactly. You know? And I love that she's so public with it, right? Like, she's letting you know you can do both. You can achieve your dreams, but she's got multiple dreams, right? It's something she always said she wanted to do. Such an example. There's so many people who look up to her who are going to remember this. She can show you can work hard. You can play hard too. I love every part of it, especially with all the stuff that she's been through. You know, she didn't let it deter her. Good for Meg Thee Stallion.
What's going on with that?
I literally thought about this the other day.
Yeah. What's
We've
happening
heard
with that?
Nothing. Tory Lanez is out in these streets, you know what I mean? Taking stages, making music. Meg Thee Stallion's doing her thing. And it's almost as if it didn't happen. But surely it's an ongoing case.
So let me ask you a question. It's an ongoing case. I have no idea what's going on with it. Of course, I believe Meg Thee Stallion and what she said. Mm-hmm. What if he pleads to a lesser charge? Mm-hmm. The charges are dismissed in some way, or if Tory beats it, what happens then?
Well, they're all different, right? Like, if he pleads to a lesser charge, meaning he pled guilty and there's some sort of confession.
So let's say he doesn't. So I'll put it to you like this. So let's go through this a couple of times. Let's say he takes a gun charge and doesn't take a charge of assault with a deadly weapon or a charge of shooting her. Let's say he just takes a gun charge. The other charge they throw out, but he takes a gun charge. What will that say to you?
I got a problem with it because I believe Megan in this situation. And so it's similar to what you said about Jesse, right? If the people need to hear from you, right? I want you to take what I believe, because I'm choosing to believe Megan. I want you to take responsibility for what you did. And that's the only way I'm going to be able to move forward with you. Possibly. Anything less than that, I can't. Like, unless it didn't happen, it comes out in court that none of that happened, which I don't believe. I can't see it any other way. So no matter what, if you get off, I still don't, because it could be a lack of evidence, right? Like, there were only a few people in the car. It could be he said, she said, maybe there's not enough evidence. Cases, people are found not guilty. You know, it doesn't mean that necessarily it didn't happen. Okay.
So,
and you know what I'm talking about.
I do know. So, can I ask a question? A question I think is a fair question.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Jussie Smollett verdict, him being found guilty, was a nail in the coffin for a lot of people saying that Jussie Smollett now is guilty of this. What you're saying that in the case of Tory Lanez, even a not guilty verdict wouldn't mean that you don't believe Meg Thee Stallion. So what I'm saying is, so hold on. So what I'm saying is, just so we know, a lot of people have made up their minds on these things before they get to the court of law.
I have, clearly. If you're listening to what I'm saying, my mind is made up. It would literally have to come out that, you know, he was in a different car or something. It wasn't him, right? Because we know she was shot in the foot. We saw a video of her walking out the car. It would have to be something so off for me. But I just believe it can't be there wasn't enough evidence. It's inconclusive or a hung jury or whatever, or not guilty just because they didn't prove their case. I really believe he shot her in the foot.
I'm not saying that he didn't.
No, I know
you're
not.
Saying,
I know.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he didn't. What I'm saying is that think about what we're talking about. So what you're essentially saying is it would take, if this went through, if this went to trial and he was found not guilty, you still wouldn't believe that he didn't shoot her in the foot.
I know. Listen, he can go, that's just me. Because if he's found not guilty, he will go on making music. He will be successful.
Sure.
And I hate what it will do to Megan, because when Megan did say he shot her in the foot, people still went after her. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to hate the way it's going to play out. I'm just saying, for me, my personal preference, I'm done. There's no Tory for me. There's no Tory in the household.
I have no problem with that. I do find it
fair?
interesting.
Is it logical? No.
I do find it interesting that the actual outcome of the case in a lot of people's minds doesn't matter.
Yeah, for
That's
this situation, and honestly, for Jussie too. If he was found not guilty, I still think he lied.
Okay. All right.
I know this is so wrong for me to say as a former attorney, but I am, since I'm not practicing, I'm making decisions in the court of public opinion. Right. And I chose sides. Okay. It's not fair. I can admit that.
It is what it is. Interesting story from the sports world. Mother of teen who punched girl during a basketball game, charged for encouraging her to do it. This is very funny.
Oh, God.
This is very funny. 44-year-old Latira Shoney Hunt has been hit with 2 misdemeanor charges due to claims that she encouraged her daughter to hit a player on the opposing team following an interaction on the court. The mother was in attendance in the game when November 7th allegedly yelled, "You better hit her for that," in a clip that went viral last month. The teen girl can be seen approaching the other girl before sucker punching her.
Is that the exact quote? Is that the exact quote?
You better hit her for that. Do you think this is fair? You think this is fair? Number one, so wait a second. Wait a minute. That's funny to me, man. That's funny, dog. Yeah, yo, you better hit her for that.
It's the quote.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Are you just paraphrasing, or did she actually say that?
That's funny. Hey, your mom's watching. Hey, get on her fucking ass for that. That's too far. I like it. You agree with this?
Somebody's got to be responsible, right? So I'm sorry. And this is coming from somebody who has an extreme temper. Okay, I've learned to control it. But when I played basketball, I had a really, really bad temper. Like I was not known to, to not fight, right? That was my MO. That's where Big Rach came from. But I never punched anybody like that. And I can't imagine one of my parents yelling out that I need to hit her. You know, there's something to say, stand up for yourself. There's another thing to say, you better hit her. Because listen, somebody's got to be responsible. The girl got a concussion, okay? The girl, she hit her hard. She hit her in the neck. It was like face and neck. The girl got a concussion. The girl was not okay. Somebody has to be held responsible for that because that girl can't do that again. The girl's got to learn a lesson. And if it's the mother, mom's got to know you can't say that because children take what you say literally. The child might have thought if I don't hit her, I'm going to get hit later. If
I've been in that situation before.
Yeah.
My pop sees somebody like, yo, look, Van, for real. You need to go in there and get busy. Like if you don't, like my dad has told me, go out there and fight. Like sometimes you gotta.
If somebody hits you, now I was taught that they hit you need to hit them back.
In this situation, something happened, and then she said, "You better hit her for it." So who knows what?
It was like a rebound situation, and they both fell. You know what I mean?
But the mom felt like it was too much. I'm gonna be real with you. Sometimes you gotta make a statement, man.
That's not the statement to make. She could have pushed her a little bit.
I guess the mom. That's what I would say if I was the mom. If I was the mom, I'd turn states on my kid. I was like, I didn't say punch, by the way. I said hit. That could be like a shoulder check. You know what I'm saying? Like what Markieff Morris did, because I'm good for that. If you, like, I used to play big down there. I'm good for that. If I get 1 too many hard fouls, you're going to get a super hard foul in return. Then whatever you do is on you. I was good for that. So maybe when she said hit, maybe the kid took it too literally. I blame the child.
Well, no. They're both to blame, for sure.
Now, if I'm the mom, I say, look, this motherfucker ain't got no comprehension. I said hit. I didn't say punch nobody in the throat. You know,
I need to hear her tone. I need to hear the tone in which she
like this, though. To me, this is involved parenting. It's kind of shit I like.
Like, okay. She could have been like, don't let her get away with that. You better stand up for yourself.
Would you want to live to be 300 years old?
No, I have more questions than that. Is this your very serious question?
Okay. No, this is not my very serious question. My very serious question is something different. Elon Musk says Neuralink can start implanting chips into humans in 2022. People with severe spinal injuries would get the tech that the billionaire says could help them walk again. Let me tell you why I ask you.
Yeah, why did you ask me that?
If you want to live to be 300. This, to me, is the beginning of a phenomenon. This, to me, is the beginning of singularity, where humans will merge with computers. It'll help us figure out all kinds of diseases, all types of ailments, all types of disorders that could possibly extend the lifespan of human beings, like in a sort of undefinable, indefinite way. There is technology that could possibly be used to where human beings could live a lot longer, be a lot more efficient. And this Neuralink stuff is the beginning of it. Think about this. What if the Neuralink can regenerate cells that help you walk again? Could it regenerate deteriorating cells in your body that show aging? Could it fight cancer? Could it do all of these things? And at the point that it can, what then defines a natural lifespan? So the question is, if this is possible, what he's saying, and most futurists believe that we're going to get to a point where stuff like this is possible, would you want to be someone who was walking around right now looking like you look at 250 years old?
I get to look like this at 250 and 300?
Yeah, if the shit was working.
So that was one of my questions. Something you said about it being natural, it's obviously not, right? If you're going to put a chip in my brain or on some type of cell to that's not natural. So none of it is natural.
What is natural?
I mean, if you're altering certain cells, right, to make me age younger, that's not natural. Like I'm not naturally aging.
Is flying on a plane natural?
Yeah.
Why? But you weren't supposed to do it.
It doesn't affect my body. I guess is what I'm saying. Like
Well, it takes your body from one place to another place.
Right, but it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect my natural progression as a human being. You're changing me. You're changing the composition of me.
So, I guess I would ask you then: is shampoo natural? Are synthesized vitamins natural? Are pharmaceutical drugs natural?
Why you trying to have this argument with me? I'm going to quote Elon, because Elon said, "I think we have a chance of being able to allow someone who cannot walk or use their arms be able to walk again, but not naturally."
Right. Here's the thing now. When he says not naturally, what I'm talking about, this is how I believe in this. I think that anything that exists in nature is natural. Anything. So anything that exists because even the natural world is there to be manipulated. So anything that exists in nature is natural. Anything that exists in nature is natural. So
okay, well, we can agree to disagree on that.
I think if you figure out how to repair somebody's spine, that's natural.
I don't want to live to be 300. I'm not trying to work for that long. That means I got to deal with Earth's problems. I don't want to live till I'm 300.
That's the thing. The thing is, will the Earth be still in good?
Yeah, I don't want to be struggling and no, I do not want to live that long. I'm sorry.
That's Van's very serious question of the week.
Didn't you just say it wasn't?
No, I didn't. I said the fucking Neuralink was it. Oh, maybe I did lie. If you could live to be 300 years old with technology, would you want to live to be 300 years old? You are saying no.
No. What are you saying?
Probably. It depends on what kind of cool stuff was on the horizon. You know what I mean? Because the only thing I think about is the cool stuff that I'm going to miss, But if there was a lot of cool stuff, people think cool stuff is like going to Mars. That's not what I'm talking about.
That's not cool at all to me.
That's not cool at all. But I'm thinking about if at some point I'm going to be able to take a pill and it's going to let me fly. That would be cool.
I don't want to work for 300 years. I don't want to watch people die for 300 years. I don't want to watch, I just don't.
Yeah. You're out of here.
I'm too negative for 300 years. I don't want it.
Yeah. How do you think when we cut out the Meg Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez thing, how do you think people are going to react to you saying that? I think that's going to make a lot of people upset, Rachel.
Why would it make people upset? I'm choosing to believe that Megan's story. Okay, no. Here's the thing: you could be upset if you want to. All I'm doing is telling the truth, because we all have our opinions, and whether you want to admit it or not, you have chosen to believe one or the other. I'm choosing to believe Meg Thee Stallion regardless.
No matter what. Hold on, you're choosing to believe Meg Thee Stallion no matter what comes out.
So she's lying about for you to not.
I'm not saying she's lying. I believe her too.
Not you. This is a general you. This is a general you.
Yeah. Who is that?
I'm just laughing at Brian crawling on the floor not to be seen. I know this is a general you. I'm not talking about you, Van Lathan, specifically. What I'm saying is that for me to not believe her means that she lied, or she really didn't get shot in the foot by Tory Lanez, or it wasn't him that pulled the trigger. I just can't see it any other way. And so I'm choosing to believe Megan. I don't care. Y'all come at me if you want. You can come at me. I don't like the way Tory Lanez has handled the whole situation afterwards. I'm choosing to believe Megan. But I really do need to know what's happening in the case, though. It was too public for now to be so quiet. What's happening?
Yeah, we'll see. All right, we're out of here.
So you're choosing to believe the court system. Let me just get this right. What the court says is true is what you believe. So if the court says that he's not guilty, then you believe Tory and Megan lied about it. That's what you're saying.
What I'm telling you right now is that I believe Megan, but not to the point to where evidence came out that said that it didn't happen, that I wouldn't believe it.
I said that. I said evidence would have to come out that he wasn't in the car at the time.
How about this? If Tory Lanez pleads to a lesser charge, if he pleads to a gun charge, that doesn't mean he didn't do it.
Exactly.
Right. But if they go through a trial and Tory Lanez is found not guilty, he's not guilty. Oh. The same way I was with Jussie, right?
So did OJ do it?
Well, no, he didn't.
Okay.
But there's a difference with OJ though, and I'll tell you what the difference is. The difference is OJ didn't murder Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. I can't say that, but he did kill them because there was a wrongful death case where the same where he was found liable for them being killed. So you could say that OJ killed them. Now, if you ask me what I believe, that's one thing.
No.
Yes, you can.
That's a civil case.
The civil case still is enough of a, you can't, so the civil case is talking about wrongful death. He killed them, but you can't say he's a murderer because he got off for it. Now, if you ask me what I think, it's one thing, right? You know what I mean? But in this particular case, I think there is way, as far as what we know, because we haven't gone to trial yet, there's way less damning evidence against Tory Lanez than there is than Megan Thee Stallion. That's all I'd say. So if they all I'm saying is I believe Megan, but I could be wrong. And I think that's an interesting thing. I think a lot of people have made up their minds on it no matter what happens. And I think that's very interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Go get Pawpaw.
All right, that's enough. Take your thinking caps off, but do not stop learning. I am Van Lathan Jr.
And I'm Rachel Lynn Lindsay. Bye, guys.
Hold on real quick.
Oh, no.
Hold on before we leave.
Something happened?
Derek Chauvin appears ready to plead guilty to violating George Floyd's civil rights, according to a court notice. A hearing has been scheduled for Wednesday for the former Minneapolis police officer to change his current not guilty plea. He is going to change his not guilty plea this upcoming Wednesday in the federal case for violating George Floyd's civil rights. It looks like he is changing his plea in the federal case. He's already been convicted of the state crime. It looks like he is not going to fight the federal crime.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, we need to bring attention to this because there is another trial that's going on, and that is the trial of Kim Potter, who shot and killed Dante Wright at a traffic stop in Minnesota. And we'll be following the case. It's still ongoing, but I did not even realize that trial was going on. And I just wonder how many other people didn't as well. So it's just something that we need to remember. We need to be following what happens with that. If you'll remember, Kim Potter was a veteran who had been on the force for 26 years. And instead of pulling her taser to aim at Dante Wright, she pulled her gun and she shot and killed him.
Yes. Dive into both of those on Thursday. Alistair, peace out, my young G. I see you right there in the camera. We will talk to you.
Bye. He says bye.
Bye, Alistair. Bye. We're going to see you guys Friday. We out.
Bye.